Okay, work. So, work is defined as the force applied on an object times the distance that object traveled. If may gani isang angle between the force and the distance, then we use this formula. W is equal to FD cosine theta. So, there is a further explanation for that. Work is the energy transferred to or from an object via the application of force along a displacement. In its simplest form, it is often represented as the product of force and displacement. So, work is a type of energy, or it's an energy. Therefore, ang aton nga unit for work is going to be joules. Let's see here. Well, first thing is force is Newton. Distance or displacement is meters. So, it's either Newton meters or joules. Either way, both of them are the same in SI units. Okay. So, 1 Newton meter is equal to 1 joule. Simple as that. Okay. Another thing that you can notice is force is a vector. And if instead of distance, you use displacement, you have a certain vector multiplication going on here. Okay. Work, guys, is a scalar. Therefore, ang aton diri nga vector multiplication is going to be dot product. So, F or force vector dot displacement vector, and you will get the scalar product for work. Okay, the unit is still the same, Newton meter, and this only applies if given kamo sang isa ka vector equation, or in the case wherein ang aton nga force is not uniform all throughout, or the displacement is in a wobbly curving, or in a wobbly curvature. So, gaan ka mo sinasang vector equation, no? So, yeah. Also, it's because of the fact that cosine theta, diri siya, oh. So, if you could remember from our previous classes, dot product is the magnitude of vector A times the magnitude of vector B cosine theta, and this is the dot product of A and B. Meanwhile, if you could remember, magnitude of A times magnitude of B sine theta will give you the cross product instead. Okay, so since cosine siya, it's also good to conclude that we are going to use the dot product. Okay, so we have some examples here. Ang simple danay, no? Here, a man is cleaning a floor and pulls a vacuum cleaner with a force of 50 newtons at an angle of 30 degrees with the horizontal. So, why nasang dalong pa nga paminsaron, we have, yeah, let's list down the given. So, force natin is 50 newtons. Ang aton nga angle is 30 degrees, no? And, yeah, we are going to look for the work done. And, yeah, that's it. Oh, yeah. While we have here the distance, galit. Ngala ko doon kulang, no? 3 meters to the right. Okay, so ari ang drawing natin. Now, if you notice, we have here mg, which is simply the, the weight of your vacuum cleaner. And there is an opposing force to that, the normal force over here. So, since hindi pa man siya included gid sa aton nga calculations, that's okay. Let's just solve for work in this case. It's FD cosine 30 degrees. So, work is equal to 50 newtons. Ang distance nga 3 meters cosine 30 degrees. So, whip out your calculators. 50 times 3 times cosine 30 is 129.904 Newton meters, or 129.904 joules. That is the work or the energy exerted by this man as he is pulling the vacuum cleaner. Okay? And, yeah, I guess that's it. It's a simple problem. Let's check the next one. So, a truck travels 15 kilometers, so that's distance already. Kilometers, and the force it exerts causes it to accelerate 0.7 meters per second squared on a highway. what is its work done if it is a 3,500 kilogram truck. So, ang mass natin is 3,500 kilograms. Okay. So, what are we going to do with this? We don't have force, although we have distance. Remember, guys, force is equal to mass times acceleration. So, yeah. Well, the heavier the truck is, or the bigger the mass, the larger the acceleration is required, no? Para ma-maintain mo ang ina nga certain force. Or, actually, para ma-maintain mo ang iyang acceleration, kinanglan mo mas dako nga force. So, it's the other way around. Okay. So, let's solve for the force first. Ang mass natin nga 3,500 kilograms times acceleration nga 0.7 meters per second squared. So, 3,5 times 0.7 is 2,450 kilogram meter per second squared, which is equal to 2,450 newtons. Amo ni ang atong gamiton karon. Okay. So, remember, ang mass nga kinanglan nyo is kilogram. Ang unit niya dapat kilograms. Ang aton nga distance is in meters, hanggang time is in seconds, no? So, if any of those units are different, you have to convert. Because newtons is broken down into kilogram meters per second squared. Okay, next. Let's solve for work. Kung na ginapangita. So, FD lang, kay wala man siya, ang force is along the same axis as the distance traveled. So, wala kita angle dire, no? However, the distance used is in kilometers. And remember, the unit is Newton meters. So, i-convert nyo si 15 kilometers into meters later on. Okay? So, 2,450 newtons times ang distance na 15,000 meters. Okay? Convert to si 15 kilometers, ha? Work times 15,000 is 36.75 times 10 to the 6 Newton meters. Okay. If you want to use, ano ito na gani? Nalipat ko sa term. Prefixes. There you go. Kung gusto mo magamit prefixes, you cannot use that with Newton meters, but you can use that with joules. So you can say that the work done by the truck is 36.75 since times nila the 6 siya, that's mega joules. Okay? So only joules can use prefixes. Meanwhile, Newton meters, hasta ka lang sa scientific notation. Okay? Another example. Here we have vectors. So, a particle moving in the xy plane undergoes a displacement given by delta r, which is 2.0 I plus, plus 3.0 J meters. So, good way. So, convert as a constant force F, which is equal to 5.0 I plus 2.0 J newtons acts on it. So, calculate the work done. So, work. As we have said earlier, work is simply the dot product of force and distance. So, i-plus tar ko lang, ha. So, F dot D. Okay. So, there's no need for this theta. Actually, you can find the angle between the force and the displacement later on. But for now, let's do the dot product. Okay. So, dot product natin, can you remember, i-multiply natin ang duwa ka i's or x component. So, that is 2 times 5. And then, add that to the 2 y components, which are 3 and 2. So, that's 10 plus 6 or 16 Newton meters. Or 16 joules. So, either of them are correct answers. That is the work done by the force on the particle. Okay. It's not in the word problem, but what if ang pamangkot, what is the theta between, or the angle between the force and the distance? You can still solve for that. So, let's do that. Okay. So, using this formula, so, islan ko lang colors ng ako ng pen. This guy. Okay. So, 16 equals ang magnitude sang force naton. So, if you can remember, magnitude sang force is the square root of 25 plus 4. 25 plus 4. So, 5 squared plus 2 squared, okay? And, yeah, I'm going to put that here. Ibutang ko na lang square root of 29 para diretsyon ko na lang calcio. Next, ang magnitude naman sa distance naton. So, this guy is equal to square root of 4 plus 9. Okay? So, square root of 13. Okay. Cosine theta. So, you have to play with this equation para si theta na lang mabilin sa ining side sa equation. So, si 16, ma-divide na siya sa square root of 29 and square root of 13. And you're left with cosine theta. Now, cosine, i-transfer mo man sa piyak sa imong equation, kagmi mo na siya arc cosine. Ibulang ka lang ha. Okay. So, arc cosine moves here. And now, you are left with just theta. Okay? So, theta is arc cosine 16 divided by square root of 29 times square root of 13. Okay, which is equal to 34.51 degrees. So, we know that the work done on this whole situation is 16 joules and the angle between the force and the distance where the particle moved is 34.51 degrees.